What up, y'all?
We made some additions, as you can see. Got some sound editing. Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of
Some Young Guys.
That's right. I'm Carlos.
I'm Lemac.
And here we go.
Here we go. How's your week been, man?
It's been pretty good. Just completing a lot of homework.
Right on.
Working a lot of essays. Something I do believe is what is it when someone makes you do something over and over again? Like just
repetition?
But like there's a certain word or like a certain like term for it. But anyways, yeah, like when you repeat something over and over again, you eventually get better at it, right?
Yeah, practice.
Yeah, just like the practice of writing and writing and writing. So having to write like 5, 6, like it started with 5 and then it went down to like 4 and then 3 essays like a week. I do believe that made me a lot better writer. I started understanding.
Yeah.
Because I was asked when it came to writing, I was like, dude, this whole, like, I just hate writing. I hate writing, and like reading is a different story, but writing is just like boring for me. It's like, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that, blah, 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 and then we're excited and all this bullshit. But I do believe that the repetition of something does improve you, like in anything. But yeah, that's my week. That's been my week. That's why I'm talking about that. Just overwhelmed with work, and it was my dog's birthday too. He turned 1.
Nice. Happy birthday, Arthur. I forgot his name for a second there. Like, hang on, I almost called him Carlos.
Carlos Jr. No, but yeah, it was his birthday. I think it was like my child, so I got him like a little cupcake and yeah, like a little candle and everything, and I feel like he really enjoyed it. Like he knew it was his birthday. It was so weird.
Interesting.
He was like running around, and like the morning of, like I opened his kennel because he sleeps in his kennel, and he started running around like hella excited, like a kid on his birthday. Like if he knew, I was like, dude, what's up with all his energy? And then we took him out here so he can go to the bathroom and kind of like run around a little bit. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna grab this guy like a cake. I went to the pet store. It was like a $47 cake, and I was like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. 1, it was too big. 2, it's not like I'm gonna give you that whole piece of cake to this dog. So I just bought him like little cupcakes.
Yeah.
But that was my week.
Right on.
How about yours?
Been just working. I got an account set up with a steel supplier so that I can actually start getting to work on some side jobs, and so that's good. The job that I have might end up being cut a little short, not short, but like I might end up doing less work because before I got the account set up with the steel supplier, I thought the steel would cost one amount, ends up costing like twice as much. And so I told the guy, I was like, yeah, the numbers are going to be a bit more because of blah, blah, blah. These are the numbers that would work best. But because I told you such a much lower price, I'll drop the price down even less than that. So I am taking a little bit of a hit on it, but it's not like I'm still going to make money, but not as much as I would if I had understood the numbers up front. But I'm probably going to, we're not sponsored. Get that out of here.
We're just alcoholics. No, we're not alcoholics.
No. But yeah, so got the side job set up, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I can get the steel ordered this week and get started on building everything. That would be awesome. And then I can get the job done sooner as soon as possible. But beyond that, it was Father's Day today. That's when we're recording. It's Father's Day. Mm-hmm. And I went to visit some family yesterday, and it actually wasn't for Father's Day that I visited family. It was my cousin graduated from college. So I went to visit them, saw some other cousins that I hadn't seen in like 10 plus years, which is cool. And then saw my dad this morning, went and visited him at church, and then,
nice.
Then came back home, and here we are podcasting. A lot of driving today, a lot of driving. I left Sonoma County at 10:30 and got here at like 5-ish.
Damn.
Yeah. Just because I made a couple of stops on the way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, what route did you take?
Yeah, it was like 2.5 hours from Sonoma to Sacramento, and then another 2 ish hours from Sacramento to Reno, and then
Gotcha.
but yeah, stopped and saw my dad for a minute. So
Stockton.
no, stopped and saw my
Stockton.
dad. For,
Okay, I was like, damn.
yeah,
Stockton.
no, I did not go all the way to Stockton.
It's like,
that would suck. Yeah, that would be a lot more driving.
no, I know sometimes I make a bunch of like dad jokes. No, I have a great relationship with my dad. I just like to joke around because I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I texted him this morning. And I'm like, hey, happy Father's Day. And he actually, like, we don't really talk much, but like when we do, it's like, we talk for a while. And it was kind of like he texts, we talk to each other on the phone. And he's like, before we ended our conversation, we kind of did a little catch up. And he's like, you know what? I appreciate you calling me, like thank you. And I was like, damn, and I told him, you know what? This is for everyone out there that's in a young age and thinks that they know everything, because you don't. Like I told him, I just want to let you know that when you would tell me, you will remember me, or when you're older, you would understand. Motherfucker was right.
Yeah.
And that goes for everyone out there that doesn't believe, everyone has a different, view or story with their father or whatever, but majority of the time you're wrong and he's right.
Yeah.
Because he was probably a dipshit like yourself.
Long before you were.
Before you were born. And when he realized that, he's like, holy shit, I got to change myself around, or, oh, fuck, I'm having a kid. I got to start changing. He reflected on himself, and he's like, okay, I got to grow up and be the better example to my kid.
Mm-hmm.
And those are great fathers. Fathers like that deserve an award, like definitely, like an applause. Just because that, they kind of looked at their whole life. They're like, fuck, dude, I did so much. You ever heard like that meme? It's like my dad before he had me, and he's like fucking like shooting up a bank.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah. Like Grand Theft Auto and everything.
Yeah, I need to go do some more crazy stuff so that I can have some stories for my kids.
Right? That's probably why I did that impulse buy on some plane tickets.
Maybe.
I want to be like.
Might join the military. I'm kidding.
I might just go to Ukraine.
Maybe. I'm actually, kind of want to pick up a PPSH.
Yeah.
STG.
STD.
STG 44.
I was like, okay, I don't want to live that wild for my kids.
Technically, you can legally own an STG 44 and a PPSH in the States because they were made before, I think it was like 1986. Because those are World War II fully automatic rifles.
Okay. See, I have no idea what he's talking about.
So in the U.S., if you are a civilian, you can buy a fully automatic weapon. You have to go through a bunch of different, legal background check processes. And the gun has to be manufactured before 1986.
Okay.
The STG-44 and the PPSH, those are like classic collector's items. Like if you were to try and buy one in the States, 10 plus grand at least. Yeah, no, they're an investment. They're an heirloom type thing. Like you keep that locked in a safe and then like hand it down to your children kind of thing.
I heard the PPSH. What does it look like?
It's
does it have holes in the barrels?
Yes.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yes.
Just because
to be sure.
My ass plays Call of Duty. That's how I learned mostly about the guns. And then I kind of just Google them.
This one?
Yep. That's the one.
PPSH, for those that don't know, I don't know if you can even really see that.
It's not a real
there
gun.
You go. It is a real gun. Well, obviously, this is not a real gun. This is a picture of a gun.
For censorship, in case
in case YouTube is like
they're showing
some weirdo stuff.
They're trying to start a revolution again.
You can show guns on YouTube if you don't put a mag in the gun. So maybe one day I'll bring my guns.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Or you have to be in an armory or at a range. I think you have to be at a range. You can be in an armory because the guns are in the background and the mags aren't in the guns, typically, or some channels. But if you're at a range in an environment that is made for shooting, you can. That's how like gun tubers are doing it.
Got you.
But one of the things that we wanted to talk about today was speaking of Father's Day and things like that, maturity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly how we got on the topic of maturity, but we were just talking about how the founding fathers started this country. They were like, you said Anthony Hamilton was 21.
I still have it up. Yeah, and Alexander Hamilton was. You say Anthony?
Anthony Hamilton is someone else. Pretty sure that's a singer. Yeah, no, it is. Ain't nobody what? Hey, what's the song? Anthony Hamilton is a R&B singer. Very good, very talented.
Why is it? Oh, here it goes. Yeah, so it says here James Monroe was 18, Aaron Burr was 20, Alexander Hamilton was 21, James Madison was 25, Thomas Jefferson was 33, and John Adams was 40, and Paul Revere was 41, and George Washington was 44. So, yeah.
Yeah. And to put that in perspective, I'm about to be 25 at the end of next month, so in about a month and a half. And how old are you again? 28?
28.
Yeah. And we have not started a country. We've not fought a revolution.
Yeah, go try that right now.
Yeah. That's nuts, dude. It was a different time, of course. The technology is a bit different. Like, us versus our modern military would be very much more difficult than I think it would be for them versus the British military.
Well, think about it.
Because everything's a lot slower. The information that the British have is, like, we're all operating on the same technology level, whereas the government now has stuff that we have no clue about.
Well, it wasn't even the British that were writing this like, the Constitution.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, the Declaration of Independence was for the British, but like the Constitution, that was another one they wrote.
Yeah.
And the Bill of Rights, that was another one they wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Constitution and the Bill of Rights was within the 13 states, who deserves power, blah, 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 and then all this bullshit. But the Declaration of Independence, that was against the British in 1776, which that is amazing. They basically said, screw you, Britain. We're going to start living over here our way, a better way than what you can provide for us.
Yeah.
All to do with taxes and the way they were like garnish and then take away and then not want to invest into that state, those states, and then kind of left them to fucking die out there.
Yeah.
But still expected money from them.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
And then in addition to, the whole tax issue and all of that, but the political philosophy that goes into creating a manifesto for the future of an entire country that is the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, all of those different things that, like, to be that young with really only the history books that they had, which were like the Bible, the Odyssey, all of the different books that they had were older books like Plato's writings. They had all of these different writings from Greek philosophers and Roman philosophers. That's why our country is based on a lot of those different types of ideas, is because they didn't have access to obviously all the books that have been written since then. So, and then the books that they did have, it's not like they could just like go on Amazon and order them, or it was like the books that were handed down. Everyone probably had a Bible. Everyone had some other forms of different religious texts, or, like I said, philosophical writings by all these different philosophers throughout history. So to be educated back then meant you were reading at least those people.
I mean, think about it. Like, I feel like reading back then was like our today's tablet or iPhone and stuff like that, because it's just like that was like the best thing that you can use your own imagination.
You're either farming or reading.
Exactly.
Like if you're an educated person, if you're literate, you're writing, you're reading, or farming. You're working to survive. Those are the main things that you're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and speaking of writing and what you were saying earlier about how writing, like your writing gets better the more you do it, that's something that like Jordan Peterson, Jocko Willink, they've talked about. I don't know if you've listened to the Jordan Peterson and Jocko Willink interview.
I don't think so.
So Jocko Willink, he's a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL colonel, I think is his rank, but he was a SEAL team leader.
Okay.
And so he actually was an English major in college. He got his major in English. I don't know if it was a bachelor's or a master's. I think it was a master's. He got a master's in English so that he could, communicate better with his team as well as his higher ups, so that if he needed something from his higher ups, or if he needed to communicate what his higher ups wanted from him and his team to his team, then he could do that, because he had that ability to write and to take an idea from one person, crunch it down to its bare essential elements, and then re-communicate the same ideas to his team in a way that makes them motivated to accomplish that goal. Because you might get some BS. I mean, any company that you work for, you probably have gotten this, where you get some orders from up top that just don't really make sense to you, or the orders go down from up top to your supervisor, and then maybe your supervisor is not all that great, and they just give you exactly what the owners of the company gave him, and you have no idea what that means, because the owners have something else in mind that you guys on the ground that are actually in the field. Game, it's telephone. Yeah. It's telephone. Or it's just like the orders are directly through the pipeline, and you have to figure it out based on what the owners want, because the owners are separated from your job. You're separated from what the owners want. So like for me, for example, I'm fabricating beams for these houses that we're building. And, maybe the owner of the house that wants the house built a certain way, the architects are going to draw it a certain way, and then the engineers draw it a certain way. And then everything needs to match up. But oftentimes, engineers and architects don't know what the heck they're doing when it comes down to actually putting things together.
Really?
It sucks. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's actually terrible. I think, so In-N-Out Burger actually had a really good business model. Mm-hmm. They don't hire outside the company at all. Anyone that is working at any In-N-Out, they started at the bottom. If you work at In-N-Out in any way, shape, or form, if you're in management, if you're in, accounting, I would imagine, maybe in like headquarters where they have accountants, maybe they do hire outside the company. But as far as managers go, everyone works from the bottom up, including like the district manager, the regional manager, like all of that, up to store manager and beyond. Like if you're actually managing stores,
that's actually
you
smart.
work from the bottom up. So you understand how every aspect of the company works and operates.
Or you see things that might be needed later on once you hit that point where like I can finally make a difference.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, absolutely. And so like, I think that it would be very, very useful for people that are, engineers or architects. People in general need to learn how to work with their hands more, because it's very good for your critical thinking skills, for your development as a person, to be more effective, to be just capable and understand how the world operates. If you know how to put stuff together in a way that works, you're going to be able to transfer that skill to other areas of your life and your own thinking. You're going to be able to logically understand things way better if you can build something. Build something that works. I mean, there's other ways to get that kind of capability, but especially for a young person, it's really easy to give a kid some Legos and like follow these instructions and build it. Mm-hmm. And if they can do that, that actually really helps them develop their mind in a lot of ways that you can't really develop if you're just reading a book. And a lot of engineers, they're just book smart nowadays. A lot of them.
They don't have their own critical thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps build, like we were saying before, maturity is like, if you can be more functional in the world in a real sense, physically, or, organizing people or organizing a project so that things get done properly, then you're going to be a more effective person in the world. It's a big thing with maturity.
Or just in your own family, your own household.
Yeah,
like you
absolutely.
have to learn how to construct yourself before you construct a household. That's why a lot of people, like, you ever think about this, or you might hear this, where it's like, how is it that your parents were having kids at like 22 through like 25 and blah, 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 blah. And then you're over here like, what, 28, 30 and above, and you're like,
no kids,
no house, no mortgage, no mortgage, no like responsibilities, you know what I'm saying? And then there's a saying that people say, which I do believe, that 30s are the new 20s. I'm not implying that it's a good thing, but I'm saying that's kind of what it seems like.
It's kind of how it is. And why do you think that is?
I believe it's like that because, personally speaking, all my aunts, they had kids when they were like 18, 17. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they never really got to enjoy their, youthful years or build themselves or have character to become something or someone or who they really wanted to be. They had to become a mother instantly. And then ever since we were kids, and by the time we hit an age where we wanted to date, um, they always implied some, not all of them, most of them, they would imply, be careful. Especially my mom should be like, be careful who you date. You better not, stay with the first person you date, or like you better not like have a kid with the first person you have, sex with or something, because your whole life's gonna be ruined. You when you have kids, your life is over. Like she basically took her understanding of what her life was is like, wow, I never got to really grow. So I don't want this for my kid. I really want him to enjoy what I couldn't have. So I feel like a lot of like families, especially Hispanic families, I don't know for other cultures, but I feel like that, speaking to cousins, friends and stuff like that, they kind of like have the same experience or like thought process or, all that stuff. So they took it into like, okay, let's enjoy our 20s, and in our 30s, we can start establishing a family. But, obviously by then you should be able to have a career, because you should use the 20s to not, one, build yourself, have some character. Two, build a career for you, your spouse, and your kids. And three, have somewhere to put that family. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what your 20s should really be about, like grind. So in your 30s,
You can actually enjoy them.
enjoy your the life that you have with your kids.
It's way more rewarding, I think, to put in that work throughout your 20s. Granted, I haven't gotten there yet, so I can't really speak from experience necessarily as far as, having a family goes. But in other things that I've done, if you put in the work, at the end of the day, when you reap the benefits of putting in that work because of how long it took, how much work was required, it's so much more rewarding to finish at the end of the day and reap those benefits. So I can only imagine how much more rewarding it's going to be to work through, my 20s. And yeah, I still have fun here and there, and I'm responsible, but I still enjoy myself. I hang out with the friends that are good friends to hang out with, that aren't, also doing crazy dumb stuff that is going to mess up their lives and then drag me down with them. Like we're all responsible adults enjoying ourselves responsibly, kind of thing. And I can only imagine how much more rewarding it's going to be in 5+ years when I do get to the point where I'm like, all right, now I'm ready to have kids. And then I can also do it because I laid the foundation.
Exactly.
I laid the foundation through my 20s to be able to actually enjoy having kids and a wife and family and all of the, the white picket fence type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more worth it, and you can actually have peace of mind because you did all of the hard stuff in the beginning. You don't have the kids super early and the family super early to the point where it's, you're pulling out your hair's turning white, it's falling out, all that kind of stuff because you had them too early. Now, that being said, my parents weren't like super young. My mom, I think, was 22 when she had me. So that's not like too young, but also it wasn't necessarily in the situation that she was prepared, which is fine. And I'm happy to be where I'm at. I don't have any resentment for that whatsoever, just because like I'm here. I'm happy to be here. The experiences that I've had have shaped me into who I am, and I like who I am. So that's good. And if you don't like who you are, that's a you problem. That's not them. Try and figure that out.
Yeah, work on yourself, man.
Yeah.
But it takes time. Like,
it does. It's hard. It's tough. Like I didn't always like myself.
No, yeah, it takes time. Like don't beat yourself up about it. Like if like a breakup,
yeah,
you go in a dark place. You lose a father, you go in a dark place. You lose your mother. It takes time. It can take like a month. It can take a year, 3 years, 4 years. But just know that don't give up on yourself. Always try to like reflect and improve yourself. You're like, damn, I feel like so bad for doing something like this, or like, oh, I remember don't stay stuck in that place. Learn from that mistake and be a different person. Choose to be a different person every day, and choose to be a different person every season. Like just like the world chasing seasons. Trees have leaves, not the same leaf that grew like 2 years ago. It's a different leaf. You're the same person. grow out of your own shell, and then
Yeah.
with every season, change, and that'll just make you a better person. And then you can learn a lot from that and teach to your own kids. That's why I say when I said earlier, when I told my dad, like, damn, you were right, because he's probably been through kind of some of the similar shit I've been through that I thought I knew, but I didn't really know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think that makes sense?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. What do you think it is that's like? Well, I already asked that, but like, what is making young people not as mature? It's the parents that are kind of teaching us one thing, and the world is slightly different than that. Especially nowadays with technology, how it's influenced us and things like that. I personally think that part of the reason that we've had such a difficult maturity crisis, and that's what I think it is. It's a crisis of maturity. There's just because like we were saying before about the founding fathers being so young when they founded the country, life was very different. They were operating with less information, and so they had to make do with less information, and that forced them to mature a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think we have so much more information to consume with TikTok, Instagram, the internet itself, and everything that comes with it. There's so much more information that it takes longer to process that information and then actually do something useful with it.
Or it can be that we have all this information and we see it, and then it's so fast. We have a bunch of information so fast. We just kind of like, okay, next.
Yeah,
just
and there's
like,
no time to actually process it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's kind of the direction I was going with it. Is like there's so much information that it takes more time to process all of it properly, because we're also not spending the time. We're not disciplined enough to spend the time necessary to focus on the things that are important, because it's also hard to figure out what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything is trying to make itself seem more important than the next thing, or the last thing. And that's kind of what TikTok is. It's trying to grab your attention so that it like TikTok, Instagram, all of these different social media platforms, YouTube even, all of these algorithms are trying to convince you that this next thing that you're seeing is more important than the last thing that you saw. And that thing that you're about to see is actually more important than this thing that you're seeing right now. So it's like we don't know what information is worth looking at, and especially with all the misinformation that's out there right now, with the government trying to tell us all kinds of things that are just not true. Bro,
saturated.
See what Biden said about gun? Oh my god, we don't even need to get into that. But
saturation of information that we don't really need, and also like what we're flooded with, like in the media, like not just news, but you got like sports, certain events, like Hollywood topics, like that has like, why the fuck should I care?
Drama.
If Kim Kardashian was caught seeing with fucking Kanye again, like
exactly,
what does that benefit me?
Nothing.
It has nothing to do with me, and it has nothing to do with this world. Like, it benefits everyone, and people are so fucking like, sorry, I'm cussing, but like it just pisses me off how some people are just so consumed and like very indulgent in that type of like crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is not good for you. Like the Amazon that was around fire, which I still believe that I think it might be on fire, or I don't even know. I don't even know myself how it came out, and people just repost or put it up as their profile picture for a couple months, and then like 2-3 months later, like, all right, I'm over it. Okay.
The black square phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. Literally. Some Black Mirror shit,
No, I mean like the black square for BLM kind of thing. Like everyone posted a black square, like that actually does anything.
Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah.
I mean, say what you got to say, dog.
All I'm gonna say is like that was like, I find it funny how people did that, and that's all they did.
Yeah,
they didn't even bother going to like a march, and people would say shit. Like,
I didn't go to a march either, but I also didn't post a black square. But I also didn't think that the marches were in good faith.
Yeah,
so to speak.
And people will be like, "Oh yeah, I stood up, I protested, blah blah blah, I marched." I was like, "No, you fucking didn't." It's like, no, you didn't. Like, I know who you are. I know. Like, no, bro, I'm not gonna stand here and lie about something. Like, no, like if, like, and then I remember I had a roommate that would force me to stand up for him. I'm like, look, dude, I'm not gonna stand up for you. You're a grown ass man. You can stand up for yourself. Okay, I understand you are, African American, but like, you and I live in peace and harmony,
Yeah.
And if someone were to like want to, aggressively hurt you or say certain words to you, then yes, I'm gonna stand up for you, and I stand up for anyone, And I think that should be like a human, moral. Like you stand up for anyone that's being hurt that doesn't have the power to protect themselves. And he's like, "Well, you not doing anything about it is you being racist." I was like, "Okay, hold on."
All right, we ain't.
I don't want to go there, but like saying something to me like that, I was like, "Dude, yo, we went way off topic." But basically, all we're trying to say.
It's okay. Keep going. Keep going.
Sorry,
where the conversation takes you.
Sorry, it's just like the like. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Like like I said, I'll protest for people. I'll stand up for people. But like you said, it wasn't in good faith. Like
no, BLM is not.
I mean, he can say that.
They ain't right. They're not really about the cause because they had in their back when BLM was first formed, they had in their manifesto, I guess you could say, on their website. It was in their mission statement was the destruction of the nuclear family, the traditional nuclear family. Because the BLM movement has been kind of co-opted by the LGBTQ movement, and the LGBTQ movement is kind of about destroying the traditional ideas of what a family is. And now if you really look at all of human history, let alone the last 50 years, the destruction of the nuclear family and traditional family units has always led to the destruction of a culture. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. I think that our culture is still salvageable. I think there's a lot going on culture-wise that is awakening people. COVID was a big awakening moment. I think the whole Bud Light and Target fiascos that are going on right now, where Target had all of their LGBTQ stuff in the front, and then they moved it to the back. Even Starbucks, like a few Starbucks locations, took down their Pride movement stuff. Pride's like over. It's June still. We're midway through June, and no one's really talking about Pride Month all that much.
Yeah,
which is crazy. I mean,
wait, isn't June 19th like Black History Month or something like that? I'm sorry.
Juneteenth is
Juneteenth?
It's not Black History Month.
Is it for minorities?
It's Juneteenth is a celebration, or not celebration. It's a commemoration of the idea that America was actually founded June 19th of 16. I want to say it's like 1646 or something like that. Which is when the first slave was shipped into America.
Oh,
and this,
damn.
I disagree with this idea. I think that it's a self-sabotaging way to look at your country that you live in, because to take the founding of the country, which is, in my opinion, and for most of American history, has been 1776 with the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. That is what our country is supposed to be founded on. Now, you can subvert that idea and make it founded on a different principle, and if you can convince the entire population that something is what it isn't, then that thing that it isn't, as long as you convince those people that that's what it is, it will be that thing.
Okay.
You kind of know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, if we can convince everyone that America is not actually founded on the principles that are outlined in the founding of the country back in 1776, and it's actually founded on something like slavery back in the 1600s when the first slave ship landed in the States, then you can undermine the credibility of the country itself. And now I'm not denying that slaves were first shipped here back then, or that that's an important thing to understand, because it is important to understand. It is important to understand Black history and slavery in general. Mm-hmm. But it's also, I feel like we have this thing in the States, in America, where we think we're especially evil because we had slavery of just African Americans. It wasn't really just slavery of African Americans. I'm fairly certain there were other races that were enslaved, and there were also Black slave owners that most people don't talk about.
Oh yeah. Black people sell their own people out.
Yeah, and then and yes, there was a lot of racism, but if you look at human history, that's kind of the norm. So we should really be just amazed and glad that slavery was ended in the first place, rather than focus so much on how bad slavery was at all. Yes, it was terrible. Let's just be glad it's over and move on. That's how I think about it. I got friends, family that would disagree and hate me for it, but I don't really care. That's just what I think. And the way I see it is like focusing so heavily on the negative. First off, we aren't getting reparations for that. It's just not going to happen. I think if you tried to implement reparations, you're just going to further divide the country. Because who's paying for it? Taxpayer. People that weren't alive when that happened.
Exactly.
And so if, like, I already don't like the way the government spends my money. And I am half black. And if people got reparations that, honestly, some of them might not deserve it, but just because they're black and maybe their parents are actually from Africa and they weren't really affected by slavery and they're getting reparations, that's not really cool.
Oh, that would be kind of, yeah. Like people,
but then also like the Irish dude whose granddad migrated from Ireland back in the 50s. Now he's got to pay reparations to black people through his tax dollars, even though he was just an Irish dude when that was all going down, and he has no connection to it whatsoever.
That kind of like,
so it's not going to end well for, like, having reparations is just not something that I think is possible.
Is that something that they're pleading
California's already, like, I'm fairly certain that they passed something to get reparations for people that lived in San Francisco, for black people that live in San Francisco. I think they get reparations. There was something I heard about it back 2 months ago. I didn't look too much into it because it irritated me. I was busy with other stuff.
So would it be like the natives?
Native Americans?
Yeah, like, you know how they get a cut from the government like every month?
Yeah, there are Native American trusts. And that's one thing that's slightly different because they were here before we got here. So,
yeah, but we definitely fucked their
yeah,
society up.
We did.
Like, fucked it up. Yosemite was man, we ruined that place.
Yeah.
Well, we actually kept it pretty clean, but we kind of kicked them out and burned their shit.
Yeah,
not we.
That's a different situation historically. But regardless, I don't think reparations is necessarily a good idea for the country itself. I think there are other things that we can do and should do to improve the lives of minorities as a whole in this country. And that would help solve a lot of problems. For example, getting rid of the welfare state, I think, would be actually very good. It would be very hard to pass because people like free shit, but they also don't understand that getting free shit actually makes you weaker as a person and forces you to rely on the person giving you free shit.
Yeah, just like that saying, tough times make easy. Was it tough times?
Tough times make strong men. Or
yes.
Hard times make strong men.
Yes.
Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men. Weak men make hard times.
There you go.
And it's very true. If you're given things easily, you lose the ability, you undermine your ability to work and struggle and fight for good things. So that's kind of where reparations, or not reparations, the welfare state has led a lot of minorities, and it's actually really starting to affect the white population as well. There's a lot of white people that are falling victim to the welfare state, and it just destroys people, destroys societies. Like, it's just socialism. That's what the welfare state is. It's just socialism.
Yeah, but you would never accept that. Well, people would never accept that. That's what it is.
No, they won't, because they benefit from it. If you're benefiting, like, privilege is invisible to people that have it. So, which is not a saying that I came up with. That's Myron from Fresh and Fit. He says that. And I agree. I think that it's not entirely invisible. You can open your eyes to it, but people are very resistant to understand, to accept that they're being given things that they don't necessarily deserve, or that they have things that they, not necessarily that they shouldn't have, but that they're not doing everything they could with what they have to deserve what they have. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. There's a lot of problems that we need to solve still in our culture.
Definitely. You know, that was actually one of the questions I had for the political science class I'm taking. Mm-hmm. Amazing class, actually. Like, I thought I was just gonna like kind of copy and paste and then kind of like do the bare minimum in that class. But I actually sat down and read some articles and then some parts of the book. And it's like, some of the questions that like the professor asked was like, I think he spent 52 years in the state of Nevada I think he was like one of the commissioners or something like that. I don't know, but he has something to do with the state of Nevada. But anyways, for 52 years, but he asked questions within discussion boards about like, do you think the Declaration of Independence should be updated, or what do you think? Like, God, I had this question. I slipped my mind. Yeah, never mind. Whatever. He just asked a bunch of questions about like what what would you do if you were in the times with the founding fathers? Like, what would you include into like the Declaration or the Constitution or the Bills of Rights? Do you think like certain rules or laws that they implemented on that paper really applies to us now? Like, do you think it should change with time? Do you think we should reinvent it? And then stuff like that. Like, what do you think about today's society when it comes to certain the Constitution and Bill of Rights? Like, so I mean, that doesn't make any sense, but yeah.
Well, it does make sense. It's a logical question. I think that the importance of those documents has been undermined by our lack of education on those documents. Mm-hmm. I think that people don't really understand political philosophy or political science, and it really does. Oh yeah, that's something that we were talking about before. Was Yuri Bezmenov's interview?
Oh yeah.
He's a former KGB agent. I think he passed away by now. But he had an interview back in, I think it was like 1980, 1970, something like that.
I think it was 1976.
1976. He had an interview in the States where he talked about how there was a very concentrated effort in the KGB in Russia, that's the Russian CIA essentially, to undermine and subvert American values. It was called demoralization of American values. And demoralization doesn't mean like make people depressed, which the end result is people are surprisingly depressed because they no longer have morals. It's demoralization, to remove the morals and the moral framework, the foundation from a country. And listening to that interview, it's about an hour long. I highly recommend you guys check it out. But listening to that interview and comparing what he said that the KGB's plans were, what they were trying to do, how they were going to implement certain things, and the strategies that they were using, and then comparing all of that he says back in the 70s to exactly what things are like now, and how schools have been infiltrated with socialist ideas and these intellectuals that, they talk about Marxism and socialism and communism as if it's this wonderful utopian ideal that is going to work if we all just agreed on it. I mean, we've tried it out quite a few times as a species, and it's never worked once. I don't think it will, because people are just not computers that can be programmed to behave a certain way. Someone at the top is going to get greedy. Someone at the bottom is going to be dissatisfied. And then those two forces are going to clash.
Yeah. Sorry, it was 1984.
Okay, it was 84. That's still a while ago, over 20 years, over almost 40 years ago, 39 years ago.
Yeah, exactly, 39 years ago. It says, describes America of today and outlines 4 stages of mass brainwashing used by the KGB.
And looking at that, it's worked. It's worked well. But on that note, I think
we'll leave it off for next time. How America is brainwashed.
Actually, that would be a good thing. I think we'll write an analysis of his video, and that would be a good topic for next time.
I think so too.
Because I've watched that. I've listened to the interview once and watched it a second time, and I think that would be a good thing to take his video, check out the things that he said, and see exactly where it's actually happened.
Yeah. Because I do know what you said was a 2 hour long thing.
It's an hour.
An hour. There's like a 20 or 30 minute, like, yeah, like 15, 20 minute, like where he starts talking about these facts and like how, they start doing it and how they start working. And it's like within like 15, 20 minutes, we can condense that down to like a 5 minute talk about it.
We could probably make a whole podcast about it.
Or make a whole, yeah, I think so. Yeah, brainwashing.
I feel like, yeah. Brainwashing and ideological subversion, demoralization, all of that good stuff. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. There's a lot going on. It's kind of depressing, but at the same time, you got to be aware of it so you can fight it. Because otherwise, like, you're going to end up succumbing to it, and you're going to be a victim of it. And we don't want victims here. We want warriors and people that are effective and capable. Like we were saying earlier, you put shit together with your hands, it makes you a more capable person.
Mm-hmm.
And we want those types of people.
Definitely do need more mature people. More people to, I guess you can say something what Dad was saying. You got to take life by you got to grab your nuts, stand up to
grab life by the horns.
But in his way,
or by the balls.
In Spanish, he's like, grab your nuts and get up and do your shit.
Say it in Spanish. How did he say it?
Tienes que agarrar los huevos y darle un chingazo a la vida. Like, fucking go forward. Like, give that, be hard about it. Like, and it's true. Like, even things that you don't want to fucking do, fucking just do it.
Especially the things you don't want to do.
Like, you don't want to, like, get up, clean, or wake up and, like, work on something that needs to be done. It's like,
it's the things that you don't want to do the most that you need to do the most.
You don't want to wake up in the morning, go to work. You want to call off and be a little bitch about it.
Yeah, it's just not good.
You're fucking tired, working 12 hours. I don't know, working a blue collar, 4 days, 5 days out of the week, 6 days, overtime, 7 days, 2 weeks straight working. That's some fucking manly shit right there, my guy. And if you still have time to work on yourself, like go to the gym after.
Yeah, hit the gym, read. I listen to audiobooks while I'm at work. Audiobooks, podcasts, all that good stuff. It's the best. It expands your mind and, start where you can, start where you're at. But yeah.
Yeah. That's I think your dad worked too hard to not let you be something.
Your ancestors worked too hard. Like literally you would not be here today if one of your ancestors was unsuccessful. Exactly. If one of your ancestors was not successful, you would not be here. Mm-hmm. So do them a service by being successful yourself. Mm-hmm. Work your ass off, make them proud so that you can be someone's ancestor that worked his ass off and got the next generation going.
Yeah. But, make it a great one.
Yeah,
so don't make
absolutely.
it a good one. Make it a great one.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to have kids, dude. I'm going to fucking make them like
warriors, dude. I'm excited.
I'm going to teach. If I have all girls, this is going to go a little longer, but we were having brunch with my lady's dad, and then we're talking about kids. It's like, dude, what would you do if you had like 2 girls? Would you try for the next one? I'm like, I think 2 kids and I'm done. Like, I wouldn't want to have more than that, But if it happens, it happens. But if I have 2 girls, fuck it, dude. They're gonna be some badass fucking like top G woman. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna be like respected. They're gonna be tough, and they're gonna be like, like tough girls. They're gonna be able to protect themselves and like be some badasses.
Absolutely.
But if I have sons, then you best believe they're gonna be little fucking warriors. Fuck yeah, dude.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely want 2 at least, 4 max. I don't want more than 3 really, but if 4 happens, it happens.
Damn, bro said cheaper by the dozen.
Literally not even. Literally a third of cheaper by the dozen. But I mean, shit. If I end up with a dozen kids, then I guess I gotta work a lot harder.
Some Nick Cannon shit right there.
Yeah,
bro.
No, I'm definitely Nick Cannon. Wild. But yeah, no, 3 kids. Ideally, it would be like a boy or 2 and then a girl. I'd like to have boys and girls. Mm-hmm. Ideally, though, it would be the boys first because, you want the boys to be protective of their little sister kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, that would be dream scenario, 2 boys and a girl. That would be sick.
The other thing they were saying, like, would you have them back to back, like within like the same year or maybe a year apart? Because I would love that. Because then you just get it fucking done. Like,
yeah, that would
18,
be nice.
Get the fuck out. Let's go to school. Like, do whatever you want to do after that.
That being said, if they're a little spread out, the older one can take care of the younger ones.
Yeah.
So that's helpful for sure.
Yeah.
But they get to an age where they start taking care of each other anyway. So.
Yeah. Like, yeah. And then it gets to the point where like one, like, has to leave and then kind of like has to
Get a
start
graduation every few years kind of thing, and then they're all gone.
and then
You and
little
your wife,
birdies are gone.
yeah, and then you and your wife just figure stuff out for yourselves and continue with grandchildren at that point. I would assume. I don't know.
Basically.
Who knows what's going on? But anyways, yeah, we're went a little longer than we initially meant to, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it was flowing. I like it. I love it.
Alrighty, guys.
I hope you guys enjoyed our new.
I hope you enjoyed the background. We're gonna be adding a little bit more to it still.
Oh yeah, and then we're thinking about also adding like our own actual some young guys, like basically neon board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fucking badass. Like
Sick.
I've been looking at websites, and then there's one that you can customize, and it looks pretty legit. I just forgot to send it to you.
Yeah,
and it's not that expensive. It was like $200-300.
That's not bad. Not
I
bad.
think that's good. So yeah, it's all right.
Alrighty, guys. Well, it's been Some Young Guys. I'm Lemac,
It's Carlos,
and have a good one.
Yeah, catch you guys later. See you next time.